Welcome to another edition of Swerve with Me. This is a show where we have adult conversations for mature audiences only. I'm Miranda Innes, and also it's always a pleasure, just always a pleasure to have you to tune in tonight. We are just came out of a week of my first ever masterclass where I was actually teaching from Monday through Friday, tackling limiting beliefs and tackling self sabotage. It was an intense week. And I want to say thank you to all of you who registered and showed up for the sessions that I believe were transformative based on the feedback that I've gotten. And now the real hard work begins where we begin to put into practice all of the tips and the tools that participants have received in order that they can create not only the life that they want, but the life that they deserve. So thank you so much to all of you that participated. I'll be having the masterclass, hosting it again in August. And so those of you who were not able to join us, you still have an opportunity to tune in. This is something that is going to be recurring simply because I have identified a need that people need to recognize those things that hold them hostage, the things that hold them back in their lives, and the things that they seem never to be able to overcome. So that's why I'm doing it on a continuous basis because I am determined to move people from potential to purpose. And so if you are in our Swerve group and you've missed any of the teachings last week, you have until tomorrow to view all of them before they are taken down. So once again, thank you to all of you who have participated in the masterclass. Good evening, Newton. Newton, good to have you with me. Tonight, I'm having a conversation with Stacy Rolle and her brother Twanto Saunders, who will join us in a short order. We are talking again to people who have overcome challenges and they are not afraid to show their scars and speak their truth. They're talking about their story of survival. They experienced trauma, brother and sister, at a very early age when the conditions, at least on which they were raised, were not ideal, but here they are, some 30 odd years later plus, and they've managed to still survive it all. So we're going to hear a little bit about their story. And then another reason why they've decided to come tonight because they want to make an appeal. They want to make an appeal. So good evening, Cicely. Good evening, Jober. It's so good to have you. So I want to introduce to you Stacy, if you're ready. I want to introduce to you Stacy. I see somebody else in the background. But Stacy hails from the island of Bimini. I don't know, it's something about me and the people of Bimini, but we're always doing this thing and I'm happy to share their stories. Stacy is from the island of Bimini. And there she is. And her brother, we can see his sleeve in the back, but we'll get him in some way, somehow. But Stacy has an amazing story because okay, I can see him too. All right. Okay. So we're gonna have to do it like that. We're gonna make it work. We're gonna make it work. Say, hey, Stacy, hey, Twanto. Good to have you both with us. Just say something so I can hear your voices. I don't hear you. Okay. All right, good. All right, so as usual, we always start at the beginning. Stacy, you both were born to a mother who had a drug problem. And so that
Yes.
immediately made life a bit challenging for you both. Now, you are at least how much older are you than Toronto? How much older?
Five
Was
years.
5 years? Okay.
Five. Yeah, I'm 5 years
Okay,
older.
so you were born into a situation, of course, out of your control, where your mother was a drug user. So, your earliest recollection of your life with your mother, if you have any recollection, let's talk about that because I know that your grandmother played a pivotal role in your life. So, let's go back to your earliest memories of your mother.
Well, good night, everybody. It's glad to be here. My early recollections of, well, the story I've heard that my mother left me in a schoolyard, in Sudden Senior Schoolyard. And my uncle found me and he sent me to Bimini to my grandparents, which was his parents and my mother parents. And I was there. My mother didn't know where I was for at least 2 years. I think I was like 9 months old when they sent me there. I was 9 months old, and I was, and she didn't know where I was for at least 2 years. She was looking for me. When she found out I was there, she came to Bimini,
Mhm.
and my grandfather told her. Well, she said that she wanted me, and my grandfather told her no. Say, you're not taking her because every time she has me, she always leaving me somewhere, and somebody always have to bring me to some family member.
Mhm.
So after my grandfather died is when she kind of like had a little bit of control over me. But like I said, with just her drug use and her drug habit, it was
Mhm.
just like it was just tough. It was like always she's always leaving me somewhere, or I've been exposed to a lot of different things. She always had a lot of different men come in and out. And as I
Okay,
grew,
so let's go ahead so far. Tawato, do you have any memory of your mother?
Well, not as much as the older ones do, but I have. I think I went to Freeport with her one time. Um,
Mhm.
I think she cut my backside one time, but they
Mhm.
would have spent more time because
Mhm.
I would have been like probably 4 or 5 or
Right.
whatever. But I don't have much memory with her in the home and stuff like that.
Okay.
You know.
So, you were born in Nassau, Stacy, and then your uncle took you to Bimini to your
yes,
grandparents.
yes, I was, yeah.
So, what was life like in Bimini with your grandmother?
Well, at first, it was good. I mean, growing up, my grandmother was um she had all of us. She had my older brother, my aunt daughter, because she died. Her mother died when she was 9 months old. So they had her daughter. So it was like a couple of us she had. So it was like kind of like a struggle, but we had love. Like, we may not have um material things, but we had the basic. And she was working. She was working. My grandfather was also, he was a fisherman, so he was always working. But my grandfather died when I was 8. So all the strain, he died in 1980. So all the
Mhm.
strain was just on my grandmother. So it was like pretty hard for her to like keep control of me. I was always doing something that I ain't supposed to be doing. I was always the one to be mischievous, not following the rules most of the time, because when she leave for work, that's when I hit the streets. So,
So, what about you, Tawanto?
like I said, it
What
was
are
kind
your
of
Tawanto? Yeah. So, what about you? What were your memories of being with your grandmother?
Oh well, I had awesome memories with her. Actually, I even remember a time with my great grandfather, my grandfather as well too. He used to take me under the tree of life. They call it in Bimini. So I guess
Mhm.
that's where I get his old soul from too. And I actually remember, I don't know if it was the same day he died, but I remember him taking me under the tree, bought me some cookies, and after that, I guess that's when he would have passed. And you know how the old people used to be tying him the black string on your arm or whatever to say, so the ghosts don't hide you and stuff. But I have great memories of my grandmother. You know, she gave us a foundation. You
Mhm.
know, that's who I knew more as my mother. You know, and in Bimini, I also had my father's parents who was there too. So, like you say, they also showed me love as well.
Okay.
But my mom, my actual parents, my mom and my father, both was on drugs. You know, we don't have the same father, but so just imagine that as a child, mother
Mhm.
and father. So you
On
know,
drugs.
the
Yeah.
love for my grandparents, they really played a pivotal part.
So, Stacy, do you think that the fact that your mother was not actively involved day to day in your life impacted your life in any way?
repeat the question.
Do you believe that the fact that your mother wasn't involved in your life day to day have had any impact? on your life?
Most definitely, because as a child growing up, you want.
Okay, looks like we're having a little internet challenge. There's a bit of a delay. Okay. All right, it's not frozen now. You can talk. I believe I can hear you. If you talk, I can hear you.
Okay.
Right.
That's me. That question was for me?
Both of us.
No, I'm still. We didn't hear Stacy's answer because she froze, and I wanted to know
Well, most
what.
definitely, not having your mother as a part of your life played a big role in your life. I mean, like I say, I didn't have the structure. Um,
Something is going on. We don't have a really good connection. If you can hear me, can you come out and then come back in again? I don't know if you can hear me. They're still frozen. Okay, so we'll just keep talking. Okay, looks like they're coming back out to see what happens. These are some of the challenges you have when you're doing stuff live and you really have no control over the internet. You just pray that it continues to cooperate with you as you go. But I'm happy to see those of you. Y'all hang in there. Hopefully, they'll be able to get back because in addition to talking about their life, they really want to make an appeal because they have a younger sister that they haven't seen. Okay, good. Now you guys are back. All right. This could be a little challenge, but we can get through this.
Okay.
So yeah, Stacey, you were talking about, yes, it was a challenge. And so as a result of you having the challenge of not having your mother in your life, what kind of things, because you rebelled a little bit, you said you used to sneak out and do different things. So what kinds of things were you doing?
well, I was staying out all night. I was stealing, and I was the type of person that any parent wouldn't want their child around. Like I was that type of person. Like they'd be like, oh, I don't want you to hang around her. Um,
Hmm.
I was that type of person. Most everyone, the neighbor. I was always doing something mischievous. And
Hmm.
one time I remember I had stole the tourists. I always befriend the tourists, and I at one time I had stole the tourist money. I was by myself when I stole the money, but I went back and I got my friends because I
Hmm.
hide the money. I hide the money because we were on the beach, so I hide the money in the sand. And I was there. I was like swimming with them, talking, being friendly, and I hide the money. And I left, and I went. When I went to get my friends. We were talking about it, and we were making plans of what we can do and stuff like that. But as we were going back,
Hmm.
the tourists had gone to the, I guess, because they probably had described me or say, well, or it was a young girl or whatever. So as we were coming back, um, it was three of us. So I was trying to say, oh, it wasn't me, but like I said, it was me. It was just me when I went there, but just going back. So the police
Hmm.
took the three of us. So they locked. They had the three of us in the station for like trying to find out which one it was and who did
Hmm.
it. And they knew it was me because they recognized me because I had on a love T-shirt. I'll never forget. And he said, "It's the one with the love T-shirt." I remember the T-shirt because my T-shirt had stand out. But I said it wasn't me. So they
Hmm.
kept the three of us, and I never said it was me. And all three of us were locked up and until their parent their parents came. Well, my mother never came. My grandmother came, and I guess like because they pleaded that, well, they was actually sending me to the girls' industrial school at the time.
How
But my
old were
mother,
you?
oldest
How
son,
old were you? How old were
I
you at
was
the time?
I was between 10 and 11, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm. So
So
you didn't
right,
you
they
didn't
were
go to
sending me.
the girls?
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you go? Were
No,
you sent
the reason, yeah, the reason why I was already set to go to girls industrial school. The papers were right up and everything, but the airline, Chalks Airline, was the only airline that comes into Bimini at the time to Nassau, and it was delayed. And my
there?
uncle flew in from Nassau. Now I don't know how my uncle got to Bimini if Chalks was delayed. He came to Bimini. I was at the airport. I was waiting with the commissioner, with the police. Everyone was there. Like I was waiting for the plane so they could take me. My uncle came and he gave me a good cut skin right there at the airport. First of all, he said I embarrassed the family. So, and then he had to come all the way here to deal with me. And I guess when them they saw that, they say, man, this girl have good parents. This girl have people who looking out for her. This girl, so we could work with her. And the commissioner, along with the pastor at the time, Father Iran Philly Brown, they agreed to say that they will take control of the situation. So they had me. I was on island curfew. They were responsible for my whereabouts, what I did, how I did it, for whatever amount of time they had given me. So that was the only reason, like I said, I didn't end up in girls industrial school but that was where I was headed. But because they showed concern and initiative that hey, this girl have somebody, it ain't as bad as it looked. Even though like I would always outsmart my grandmother. I was good at that. So, but like I said, when my uncle stepped in, because when my grandmother called him and tell him, well, I'm on my way to Nassau. I guess she told him what I did. And he made it his way. Like he said, he caught a flight to Freeport to come to Bimini. Now, Freeport flight used to come in over South Bimini. So he caught a flight to Freeport, get a flight out of Freeport into Bimini, just so he could have, and like they say, well, he could do all of that. And they were sending me to Nassau anyway, but he wanted to cut my skin in Bimini in the front, like you say, where I embarrassed my grandmother and embarrassed him. So that beating, I was standing at the seawall, and when he shouted my name, if I could have swim, I would have swam to the next side, but I couldn't swim, so I had to stay there because I knew once he was here, once he was in town, I know it wasn't nothing good.
So when you were,
and I looked at that water and I said, boy, I wish I could. I was ready to jump.
So when you were 12 years old, something traumatic happened in your life, meaning you lost your grandmother. How did your life change once your grandmother had passed away? They froze again. This is really going to be a challenge tonight, y'all. So, okay. Can you hear me? Oh, I thought they were released. Can you hear me, Stacy? Can you hear me?
Well, my life changed dramatically once my grandmother died. Yes,
So
I
tell
heard
us about it. Yeah, so tell us about how your life changed once your grandmother died, because she was the primary caregiver for you and your siblings and your cousin, and now she's gone. So how did your life change, and who became the primary caregiver after she was gone?
Well, my uncle was always like the primary care, but we was in Nassau at the time when she passed, and we were staying in my grandmother's house, all of us, but my uncle was still responsible, but he was living someplace else. So I still get to do a lot of stuff that I shouldn't have done because he wasn't always there. Like he like to call him to come in. So I still took a chance. So my life changed. I started to like get like a little bit on the right track, but I still was doing a lot of stuff like staying out and doing things. I was getting beaten a lot, like every day, because once the night come and he goes home to his house, and then in the next day it's when he get all the news of what I did the day before, the report that I did the day before. So that was a beating, and I still would do something else. And he sat me down one day and he said, what's wrong with you? I done tried everything. What's wrong with you? And he showed me like, okay, your mother, you see what your mother doing. I didn't know my daddy, so we trying to help you, but you have to help us help you, because you know what you're doing. I was getting in fights in school, always getting suspended, and doing a lot of stuff. I was always in fight, always doing something contrary to what was supposed to be done. And like I said, he sat me down and he you know, explained. He said all these things, and he's like, I don't know what else to do. And like my mother had 5 brothers, and all of them were helping and chipping in. So I went to stay with another uncle, and well, that uncle, he was like a Jehovah's Witness. So I didn't really want to be a Jehovah's Witness. So I rebelled. I was rebelling there too, and it was just like a constant just rebellion. I was just like seeking attention, looking for attention, looking just to say, I've never heard I love you, I'm proud of you. And those were the things that I was longing for, but I wasn't doing the things for them to say that to me. I was just doing the opposite. So I didn't know how and why, but I just wanted to feel that and hear that.
So Twanto, what about you? Because were you two living together, and how were you reacting and responding growing up in the same conditions if you were there with or without your grandmother?
I was always the quiet type, but like she said, our grandmother gave me the foundation, you know. But for me, if I used to like to draw and listen to music and stuff, and music, it was an escape for me. You know, I remember when my Grammy passed, I think it was the first day of school in '86, and my sister, they were sleeping in the other room. So, you know, I wanted to go in the room where they were sleeping. So I got up early in the morning, ran in their room, and times I get up the next morning, my Grammy had already passed. And I was like, wow, and that was the first day of school. I'll never forget that. So, like she said, that changed dramatically for me, because it was like, wow, that was the one there who really showed us that love or whatever. But then it also made me realize too that, hey, I have to look out for me. So I was always like, I remember when I was 12, got my little job and stuff like that, and started working from a young age or whatever. It taught me responsibility, and from then music, like I say, kept me.
Okay.
Even up to this day now, music still is like that escape. You know what I mean? So I felt the same thing they felt, but like I said, I was just more reserved and quiet. I wasn't really that outgoing and stuff or whatever. You know?
So you just had
to hearing her say these things now, that's kind of new to me too. So I'm just learning some of these things as well.
Right, because after all, you are 5 years younger than her.
Right,
Stacey,
right.
even at some point with your uncle's intervention and the family in general, because you did have like a village, people kicking in where necessary, you were able to at some point get stabilized, and then you turned your attention to sports because you were athletic. And so tell us about how your athleticism helped you to kind of get some discipline in your life.
Okay, right. One summer, and it is so strange how I even got interested in sport and basketball especially. One summer I was just doing nothing. I was straying wandering the streets, and I came to Donald Davis gym, and I just saw a lot of people, a lot of kids, and I just went in the gym, and it was the Michael Thompson basketball camp they was having that summer, and I didn't even think I signed up, but because I just walk in and see the kids, I just went in, and they had very strict discipline. So once I got in, I just kept going back every day. And like I say, I learned basketball, I learned discipline. And like the first week, I was kind of like getting into trouble. And I know one of the coaches had put me out. And then I sneaked back in I sneaked back in the next week. And I realized, I said, man, if I have to behave, if I want to stay here, I have to behave. Okay. And I sneak in and I go into a different class. I didn't go to that same coach session. I went to a different coach session. And later on through the week, when he saw me, because he knew he already put me out for being rude. And when he saw me, he said to me, he said, and I put you up, what you doing back here? And I pleaded to him. I said, I don't have nobody home to say, could I please stay? Could I please stay? And he said, well, you could stay, but if you do anything, you out of here. And then I learned basketball. I did well. And that was it. It was like a home away from home, because then I met coaches who was loving, who, took their time. Mm-hmm. And even after camp, like they kept in contact and made me who I am. Like with practice, I got involved in a lot of sports, and it taught me discipline. It taught me discipline and how to interact with other people, and it's like, one thing my grandmother taught me is like, manners and respect will take you through the world. Mm-hmm. And that's what I learned once I got there. Once I saw how strict they were, and they would, disciplinarians. And so I say, you know what? Manners and respect will take me through the world. So let me settle down. Let me learn this. Let me do this. And let me see how far I could go. And they took me under their wings because I was kind of talented. And it just shoot off from there. I went every year.
You managed to get through high school with more discipline, because athletics were now in the picture. And because of you doing so well in high school, you were offered a college scholarship to matriculate to, I believe it was Alabama.
Right. So, Alabama.
So tell us about when you got the news that you got the scholarship. What did that feel like?
That was a joy, most definitely, because I know otherwise that I would have never had the opportunity to go to college, and after high school, then I would have had to find a job. So that was awesome, and getting the experience to go away to college was an awesome experience. It changed my perspective on life totally. I see life at a different perspective, and I meet people. I still have friends today, to this day. My coach still communicate with me to this day. Some of the professors. So it was an awesome experience. And it's like, what I realized too is like, everywhere I go in life, like God always puts somebody in my life to guide me, or to mentor me, to say, it's like, what you go through, you have to make a difference within you. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's not where you come from, it's where you go in. And I had a lot of even like my high school teachers. I had high school teachers who when I was like out fighting and getting suspended, I had teachers like who would come in on Saturdays when it was like BJC time, because I was suspended a whole semester, a whole term, and it was BJC. So they were coming in on Saturdays, giving me the extra work just so I could pass my BJCs. And they was like, Because someone always saw the potential in me. I had wonderful teachers who always saw when I didn't see it in myself, they saw it in me.
Can you
Always.
lean more? Can you lean more over to your right? Because I'm losing part of your face. Right. Good. Okay. So you were able to go to college and you made the college basketball team and you graduated. More
Yes.
importantly, you got your degree. But you told me in the pre-interview that you never worked in your degree. So what happened when you returned home from college that you didn't, because you have a degree in a bachelor's degree, and is it what is it
Physical
in?
education. Yeah.
Yeah. So what happened that you never got the opportunity to use that degree in that chosen field?
Well, when I first came home, the first thing I did was get pregnant. So I couldn't even get the job that I wanted because I was pregnant. So my whole life had changed just with that one experience. So, and even like after having the child, I had to reevaluate myself, and I was just like getting um odd end jobs. Like I never really, because I suffered a little bit of depression because I was kind of depressed that I got pregnant and didn't actually do what I wanted to do. So that had me in a kind of depression. And then I never wanted to be a single mom. That was never my goal, to be a single mom. So that showed me left curveball. So that, like I say, had me a little depressed. So I had to reevaluate my whole life and had to figure out where I want my life to go from here now that I have a child.
Mm-hmm.
So I was pretty much depressed most of the time.
Most of the time. Tawato, were you still close with her during that time, and did you notice any changes in her during that period?
Yeah, we was close, but I guess during the time when I was of age, that was the time when she went to college.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes she'd make sure call me or make sure I have the food and stuff I need or whatever. And how she was so far away, I remember talking to her on the phone and crying sometime after I hung up from her because she would have been, that's my sister or whatever. And it was like, so I don't remember much times, like I say, like she said, either she was somewhere or whatever, whatever. So I remember we growing up in the same house, but we still was distant.
Mm-hmm.
You know
So
what I
when
mean?
she came, do you remember her coming home from college? Do you remember that? What was that like when she came home?
Um, tell you the truth, not much. We was in the same house then.
Okay.
So it was always a distance. But like I said, we were still close.
So
She also
you didn't even know like she was feeling depressed or anything like
no,
that. Okay.
no.
All right. So Stacy, you're raising this girl on your own, and you said you were feeling depressed, but how did you manage to take care of this baby girl that you have and manage this depression that you happen to be going through at the time?
Well, I guess like I say, it's just I guess all God. Like, like in some way I find the strength. And basically like I realize, hey, this is a child I bring into this world. And I realized that, hey, I don't want her to feel how I felt growing up. But so I had to find the strength. And then my daughter was a very loving little girl. She was always excited if she's not around me, and when she do see me, she jumps in my hand. She always hugging and always kissing. So that kind of like, the love that I was looking for when I was a child, I was now getting it from her. So that kind of like turned my life around. I remember one day, I was looking in the mirror. They say the man in the mirror. I was just looking in the mirror, and I was just talking to God in my mind. And he said, you gotta make the change. You have to. That's all I had. You have to make the change. And I look in the mirror. I was so depressed. I was probably down to like probably 90 pounds because all I just stay in bed don't do anything. And and my daughter would come home from school because I'd get up in the morning, she'd go to a little preschool, get her ready because the bus used to come for, just send out and just come back. And it was like, and she would come so happy, so jovial. So I just had decided, look here, I have to live for her. Because like I said, I didn't want her to go through the feelings that I went through because I went through that feeling of feeling not loved as a child, at least from my mother. But other people showed me love because I said somebody always step in. God always sent somebody to step in at a time. So no family member. I remember my mother's boss at one time, because I was a little girl. I think I was like 4 or 5 years old. She used to work to National Insurance in Bimini. And I would go after school, I would go down there and help her. And her boss was in his office one day because she used to clean. So I went in there, I was just like talking. I had the broom and I was just talking to him. I said, "What you doing?" And just talking. And he was talking to me too. And he said, and as I grew, because he always was in my life, he always like helped me, always did things for me, helped me along the way. And one day I asked him, I said, why you took why you took care of me? I wasn't anything to you. And he said, the day before I came in his office, he said that he asked the Lord to show him somebody that he can help, because I guess he had all grown children or whatever. And he said my mother was she was very nice. She was very respectable and everybody loved her, but she just had a problem. And he said he wanted to do something. And I was like, from 4 years old, I didn't have to worry about school uniform, books. I remember one Easter, him and his family were going to church because like I live right next to the church. They were going to church, and I just ran and I just jumped on him in his nice suit that I was dirty, snotty, and I just jumped on him like with his nice suit. And he took his handkerchief. He wiped my nose with his handkerchief. And from that day, I always had an Easter dress. I was always prepared for Easter Sunday and Easter Monday, no matter what happening. He always made sure that I was ready for Easter, like I say, summer, every time back to school. From that, even like I say, as I even got grown, and like in high school, he's always say, "Well, give me your list," and I used to give him a list for me and my brother. Always a list, so we always, he always got our school things and everything. And like I say, and it was just from there when like I say, when I had my own child, like I say, I just didn't want her to feel like she was in love. So I kind of like got myself together. Like I always had to help my brothers, my older brother. We always stuck together. We look out for each other as the older one, look out for the younger one. So when I came home from school, like when I was in college and I came home in the summer, I always worked summer jobs. And then I would always make sure Twanto had his stuff to go back to school because I would always leave, but I'd always make sure that he had whatever he needed to go back to school. And my older brother would, I guess, provide the lunch money because I wasn't there. When I came back, like I said, when I came back, we wasn't living in the same house, but we still like caught up with each other at times. At sometimes, we still see each other. We still be around each other a lot.
If you're just joining us, good evening. I'm talking with Stacy Stacy Gibson and Twanto Saunders, and she's just kind of retracing her life and some of the challenges that she has faced during her lifetime, but also the destiny helpers that were along the way, every step of the way to pitch in, and the extended family, that whole village that it took to raise a child. So after your bout with depression and you landed a job and you were focused now because you recognize that I'm responsible for this little life and I have to do my best to try to raise her. So after getting over that particular bout of depression, what was life like day to day with you raising this little girl?
Well, life day to day was just ordinary. Like, I wanted the best for her. So I provided for her. And protected her and stuff like that. So it was like the normal. Once you could afford certain things, you do certain things. So she don't have the luxury. She can't say that she experienced anything that I experienced because I was always a mother to her. I was always there. Whatever school event, she was very talented herself. She was very smart. So whatever she was in, I was always there. Well, her father was always in her life. I give him that. He was always in her life. So we may not have been two parent was together, right? But we co-parent. It wasn't always the best, but we made the best of it, and she turned out pretty well. She did well. And I also, like I said, even with my own daughter, I still help her with my brother's kids. Also, I have a day like where I get all the kids. Like I have a day they spend with me, Auntie Day. And even from they were small now, most of them are grown now, so they could remember. Well, that's the one thing they remember about me, that I, and I try to do things that I didn't get. Like, I want to show the love. I want to be loving. I want to be that loving aunt. I want to be that loving sister. I want to be that loving cousin. And I love family. So I always try to have the family together because, like, my family, they look out for me. Even though, like, in the circumstances, and I never wanted to, two things I made. I don't want to never go on drugs. And I never wanted a bunch of children. So they were my goal. And so far, I mean, I accomplished it so far. But one thing I can say with my mother, when she realized, the mistake she made in her life, she didn't want that for us. She always wanted us to be better and to do better. And the one thing I could say that we never turned our back on her. Even, we still always look out for her. At my teenage years, I used to be kind of embarrassed to even like tell my friends, because like, especially when I moved to Nassau, like my friends never knew who my mother was now in Bimini because everybody knew her and knew me. So, but in Nassau, nobody knew who my mother was. And if she happens to come into Nassau, she never be nowhere I'm at to even say, well, oh, this is my mother, or never. So they never knew. This is probably the first time they probably had a story to say, well, oh, my mother was on drugs, because no one even knew who my mother was. I was just basically on my own. I was running my own life when I was about 15, 16.
So your mother, in your life, was she ever able to beat the drug habit? Did she ever get over it?
No,
is she still alive?
She died in 1994, and I was in college when she died. And when she got sick, she had called. Well, they had called and they told me that she was sick. I was like, well, I came home. I think it was like around the Christmas break when I came home I came a little bit earlier than school was supposed, and I saw when she was in the hospital. I went to see her, and she was just so tiny. I like when the nurse told me she was in bed 5, and I looked, I didn't see anybody. So they said, yeah, she was in there. So I went, and when she was just under the cover, and when I do the cover, and she saw me, she smiled, and she said, oh, I thought they said you was in school. I said, no, I came. And like she started to cry and she started to apologize, and she was like, she was sorry. And I was like, what you sorry for? And she was just, of her life. And she was saying, she said to me, she said, Stacey, I can't tell you, don't take drugs or don't be on drugs, but just look at me. She said, just look at me. If this is what you want for your life, then that's it. And from then I realized, hey, I want better. And I will do better. And I said, she never said, okay, drugs is bad, don't do drugs. No, she just said, look at me. And that's all it took for me to look at her, to realize that I wanted something different.
What about you, Tawato? What kind of impact did going through her sickness and ultimate death have on
Okay,
you?
well, actually, the day what she talking about when we went to the hospital, I remember that day clearly because I remember me, I was upset. Not at her, but because why our life for the turn out this way. You know, and
Mm,
I remember the last thing she's telling me is like, man, don't be mad at her or whatever. And I was looking away. And not until she passed, I realized the love I had for her.
yeah.
You know what I mean? I did songs for her. And I never had anyone talk bad about her or whatever. So that made me realize that, you know what I mean? Even though she might have had an addiction,
Hmm.
that pushed me.
To stay clean. I understand. I understand.
And
She
to,
was she was she was obviously a good person, like you said, who just had a problem because the fact that even when you shared about her working at National Insurance, and obviously that manager had such great respect for her that um, she was working there. He knew she had a problem, but he held on to you to say, I'm going to pour into her daughter because of who she is. So that's a testament right there of the type of person that she was, and that she loved you even in her addiction, to say, just look at me. So that's something awesome for both of you, all of you, to be able to hold on to, because there's also this thing about generations, and people obviously were kind and good to you all in a lot of respects because of her.
Mhm.
Because if she was a mean person, if she
I,
was really mean, people would just be cold and mean too, and you guys would have felt the brunt of whatever she had done to somebody else. So even in that, with the stories that you've shared so far, it really speaks to the kind of person that she was, even in her struggle, even in her struggle. So let's go now to another major reason why you're both here, because your mother had another child after you, Tawanto,
Right.
right after you, and your both of your memories are that at, was it 8 or 9 months, she was taken away.
9 days. She was taken away
Days.
9 days.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. 9 days she was taken away.
right.
First of all, what was her name? Do you remember what her name was?
Well, I know the given name was Tamika Shalonda Rolle. Now,
To,
like I say, I don't know if it's like I
but
said, she was
don't
only
go ahead.
9 years
Don't
old.
go ahead yet. Don't go ahead yet. So your mom had another child, Tamika, what you said, Shalonda?
Shalonda Rolle. Yeah.
Shalonda Roll. Okay. And your memory, both of your memories are at 9 days. She was adopted. What did social services take her? Did your
Yeah.
mother give her up for adoption? What happened?
But social service stepped in because the day, well, when my mother had her, like I say, 9 days old, like my mother wasn't, after that she was nowhere to be found, so no one knew where she was. And one day she was, the baby was just in the
Excuse
room.
me. Was she born in Nassau or Bimini?
She was born in Bimini.
Okay.
She was born in Bimini, and my mother left to be, I don't know if it was for a whole day or 2 days. I can't remember, but I knew because we lived right on the side of the clinic, and I know the nurse was like checking. She was doing her usual check because the baby born right in the clinic, and my mother wasn't there. Like the baby, but my mother wasn't there, and she was like trying to find out, where no one knew where she was. Or nothing. My grandmother, I think my grandmother was to work at the time, so when they had to call my grandmother from work, and the nurse was explaining to her. So my grandmother was saying that, well, after she had called my uncle in Nassau and was explaining, so my uncle was saying that because my grandmother was like kind of like in, because she had pressure and stuff like that. So it's like she couldn't really take on a baby, another young baby, because like I say, she already had us. And so they had decided that social service would have stepped in. And I don't even think, like, when they took the baby, like I say, my mother wasn't even there, so she didn't even know they took the baby at first. They had to relocate her after social service came in. And I think, like, they said they had took her to the Grand Bahama Children's Home. That's where she had went. That's social service. They took her to Freeport instead of taking her to Nassau, because I think most of Bimini work used to go through Freeport.
Okay.
So that's where they had took her.
What year was that? Do you remember what
That was
year?
in 1983.
In 1983.
Yeah, she born June 5th, 1983.
And that was the last time you've ever seen or heard of her.
Right.
No one throughout the years has said anything, no family member, anybody.
No, and nobody. I know at one time when I had asked my mother, like years after, she had said, or she was like, her friend hover, her friend hover in Freeport. And I said, what friend? And I think she was just trying to, like, because she didn't really know where she was, so she was just, at least I don't know, because my mother lived in Freeport for many years.
Okay.
So she lived in Freeport for many, her good times were in Freeport, her good days were in Freeport. So like I said, I don't know which friend, because she never said, she just said that her friend had her. That's all she said. And I don't know which friend, or nothing. And we never talk about it again after that.
Her mother never talked with her again.
Right. Yeah.
Did you know who your sister's, the baby's father was?
Well, I know for sure, but it was allegedly, it was like another gentleman, and it was like kind of an older guy, because even his family was even trying to find her too, because they had contacted us, see if we know any information, but we didn't know any, and so it was like a brick wall.
Did you make any attempts to formally contact social services to see, or were you able to obtain any kind of legal counsel in terms of how you could go about trying to find your sister?
Well, now we're in the process of doing that, because we have to we go into Department of Public Health to see if we could get release the file, the information. So it's in the early process right now to do. But I know when we had tried years ago, they were saying that social service had said that she was adopted, but they couldn't give her any information because she wasn't 18 at the time. And like I said, we all have went on with our normal life, doing our own thing. So none of us never really, got a chance to look it up again, because like I said, she's born in 83. So now she's way over 18. And so now we just in the process of just trying to find out, to connect, just to see, like my brothers say, to add to the puzzle, because one piece is missing. So that's his goal. Does he want the puzzle to be complete?
So she would have been, how old were you, both of you, when she was born?
Well, I think I was probably like 11. I think I was like 11 when she born, and he's 5 years.
I probably was.
Yeah, he was
6 or so.
Yeah, he was like 5 years older.
Oh,
So
5, 6.
yeah.
So, okay, so this is your opportunity. Like, if you had an opportunity to say something to her, each one of you, like, what would you say to her, Stacy, and then what would you say to her, Twanto?
I would want to say to her, I would want her to know that we love her. We never gave up. We still looking for her, and I hope we find her. And all we have is love for you, and we want you to be a part of us. So if you out there, find us, look for us also, because we are looking for you.
Okay. What about you, Twanto?
I would say the same. I mean, like she said, for me in my heart, I know she was after me. So it's like I'm missing missing piece, and I try to use my platform in the music where I wrote about it. So far I did 2 songs for to show her that we were trying. You know what I mean? Because sometime back too, I felt like I was kind of upset with the whole situation. Because I was saying, like, you mean to tell me on no side, you had no one who was able to keep up? So I can imagine, like, how she felt. You know what I'm saying? But, like I say, it's just all love, man. Just can't wait to meet her. You know what I mean?
So do you sing or rap or what? You said,
I
because you said
sing.
you wrote. You sing?
Right.
Can you sing like a couple of bars or something from the song
Well,
you wrote
uh,
that you wrote for her?
what I said, well, the last one, I think, if I can remember the lines, there's something to say, well, oh Lord, I don't even remember because sometimes I just go
Okay.
off the top of the dome.
Okay.
But
It's okay.
but music for me, because even like with my mom, you see, I was emotional. I remember getting a rhythm from somewhere England or whatever. I'll sing a song with that. I did a song for my mom straight up, like I say, freestyle on the top of my head, and I did a song called "Mama I Love You," and it goes like, "Mama I love you more than words can say. No woman in this world can ever replace you. 'Cause mama, I love you more every day. And all I wanna show you, we appreciate. You could find another woman, but not another mother. Who love me like you, I know there is no other. Who do the things you do and give that vibe so true. Oh, mama, there's just no substitute now. Even though you're gone, your memory live on. Got to thank the Father, cause your Bible was so strong. Things that you taught me made me the type of man I am. So, music has been that for me.
That's great, Brian. That's awesome. That's awesome. I feel the passion in the words that you're saying. So say your sister's name one more time. I'm gonna type it in this chat. So what's the first name again?
Tamika.
Timika, like Timeka. This is what you
Yeah.
knew as. Okay, Timeka, Tamika.
Shalonda Roll.
Okay, my Shalonda is Shulonda. Okay,
SHA.
A.
SHALONDA.
Shalonda, and she was a role as far as we
Yeah.
know. Tamika Shalonda role. Okay. So if somebody knows, heard anything, so as far as you know, she probably was raised in the Grand Bahama Children's Home.
Yeah. And like they say she was adopted, so she probably may have went to
Yeah,
a family. I don't know if it's
right.
in the Freeport
She
area.
would have started, yeah, she would have
Yeah.
started there.
But I think she started in the Grand Bahama Children's Home. I don't know what year she was adopted, how old she was, but like I said, I knew she left at 9 days old.
Mhm. I think I'm gonna believe with you that you're gonna find her. That
Right.
Yes, I
somebody out
received
there
that.
is going to help you as you go through the legalities that you need to go through. But I do believe that I'm going to believe with you. I'm join my faith with yours and believe that somebody out there is going to connect the dots. And you said she was born on what's the birthday?
June
June
5th.
5th, 1983.
June 5th, 1983. Okay. So we put it out there. We put it out there in the atmosphere and we put it out there for people to see. We don't know if her name has been changed
Right.
or
Right.
if she still has the same name, whatever it may be. If she may not be a role, she may be married. Hopefully her name is still Tamika. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
'Cause that would be a good start. And I really hope you guys are amazing. And I can tell, and I'm sure the people that are watching can tell that you're loving people. You're close knit and loving, and it's awesome just to see the bond between you two as brother and sister, and just to hear you share how, despite the challenges that you all had as kids, that the family kicked in wherever they could to try to help, to nurture and to raise you all. And I think that's just awesome. I can't really see, for some reason, people are putting some comments, but it's showing up blank. Like Newton, I see your name, but I don't know what you said. Irma, I see you. Connors, I see you, but I can't see if you said or whether it was an emoji or not. But there are people out there I know for certain rooting for you guys. And Tamika Shalonda Roll, you gotta come forth. She gotta come forth from wherever she is. Somebody gotta find her so that you all could have the reunion and she could feel the love that's exuding.
Right.
I can feel the love that's exuding from you two right now, and I do believe that we're gonna find her. So somebody says, wow, she must be 38 children and maybe grandchildren. I pray God put the link in
Right.
your family chain. So that's somebody saying they pray that God puts that link together. I believe y'all are going to find out. This is just
I
this is
think I think so too, honestly, because I see one time I had an interview in England, and I don't know how I ended up talking about it. And after I finished speaking about it, so he was doing the same thing you do, and he was like, they have a lot of stations all over England. So he's telling me what I remember about use that time too. So
mm-hmm,
what I did was I took that same clip and put it in the voice song.
mm-hmm,
And everybody keep saying the same thing, like they could feel the passion or whatever. I never told my wife about the situation. She
mm-hmm.
heard the song, and tears automatically just drained down her face or whatever. And I was like, wow. So that's why it felt so important to me to say, well, let me do this now, or let me use my platform or whatever. And
Yeah,
I feel we're gonna find her as well.
yeah, I have no doubt. Jova says she prays that you find your sister. So there are people that's joining in this search for you to find your sister and for that connection. I know that's a void, and you know
Yes.
Yeah.
that you all know
Yes.
somebody, a part of you is out there, and all you want to do is just hug her and say, "Hey, I love you, girl. How has your life been? This is what's
But,
been happening with me." Yeah.
but we had another situation because my brother, my brother just before me, when he was a baby, his grandmother took him, which is also my grandmother, because me and him have the same dad. But I didn't know my dad, but he stayed with my grandmother, and we didn't know him. But once we moved to Nassau, we searched for each other. He was looking for us, and we were looking for him, and we connect, and we've had a wonderful life ever since. And even like my sisters and brothers on my dad's side, because they don't know their dad, just like I don't know him very well, but most of them live in the United States, and we connect and we have a good relationship to this day.
Hmm.
So
You're
it's
gonna,
just like you
you're
said,
gonna
it's just the
find her.
missing link.
Yeah.
Pardon?
Or I said you're gonna find it. Irma says awesome story, and yes, I believe their sister will be found. Cicely says check Facebook or school records. Cicely, they're in the process of taking the legal route because she was adopted, so their records wouldn't be open and readily available. So they are in the process, as she stated, to begin to whatever they can. In the meanwhile, they're not just settling for, it's like by any means necessary wherever
Yeah.
you could get some information from. So they're working on it, and I'm believing and trusting God that you will indeed find her. And I just want to say thank you so much. Is there anything else that you want to share or say to her about her or anything?
Well, I'm in the process of completing the next song. So once it's all done, I'll send it to you or send you the link or whatever to
Great,
help.
great. I want to hear it. I
Yeah.
definitely
Actually,
want to hear.
I'll send you the idea what I have so far, and you let me know what you think about it.
Okay, not a problem. I sure will. Sandra Lee says, "Be encouraged. She will be found." So there are definitely people who are going to join their faith with yours and believe that you will in fact find her very soon, very very soon. Oh yeah, someone says, "I love to
Yeah,
do another
we've
show when
been
we find your
terrible.
sister." We sure will, if she's willing to
Most
participate in.
definitely, we will come back to let everyone. I said most definitely when we do find her, we will come back to share the experience.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
I would so be interested in hearing that. So we are calling her forth We're calling Tamika Shalonda roll forth in Jesus' name. She gotta come. She gotta come. Somebody gotta find her, or she gotta find you. But she just know
Right.
there's a target on her because some people are waiting to love on her. Some people are
Yes,
waiting
very much
to
so.
definitely love on her. So I just want to say thank you. This has certainly been, I'm always honored when people come to share, to open up and to share stories that they never really have told anybody else before. Twanto eyes open when you were sharing some stuff because he didn't know what you was up to back in the day.
Yeah.
He didn't know those things you were up to, but y'all keep loving each other, keep supporting each other. It shows. Like you can see
Yes.
the genuine relationship that you two have, and that really does my heart. I'm
And
glad.
it is,
Yes.
it is, it is, it is really a genuine love because in 2017, I had suffered a seizure. And when I woke up, my two brothers were there and they never left my side. And to
Wow.
this day, they always look, and this the youngest one, and he was doing the most. He always checking up, he always making sure that I'm doing what I supposed to do. He come, even if he have to cook a meal for me, he come and he do that. So I am very so much proud of him, and I'm so glad that he's my brother, and I love him very, very much. I
And
wouldn't trade him for the world.
here I thought I had the three best brothers in the world, but yours could compete with
Yeah,
mine.
I
I
think
thought
I
I had
have
the
the
three
best brothers
best.
in the world.
I thought I did. Connor says God is awesome. I have faith to believe that she will be found. Yes, listen. People are joining their faith with yours. Child Tamika gonna be found and found in short order, and we're gonna be right there to celebrate with her if she wants to, because then she might be a little timid or whatever. We don't know. But definitely if she wants to come and celebrate, we are going to celebrate with her. So again, I just want to say thank you. Y'all stay in touch. Let
Okay.
me know what's happening in terms of as you approach, the legal stuff and who's
Right.
doing what and what you need to have. Let me know what's happening with that. And of course, anything that I can do to assist, I will certainly be put my hands to it and help you in any way that I can. Okay?
Okay. And thank
Well,
you
thank you
for
so
the
much for
opportunity.
working with me tonight. It's been a pleasure. God bless you. And we're going to hear from you real soon when you come back to talk about We Found Her.
Yes,
All
very
right.
soon.
So y'all who are actually watching tonight, make sure you share the live stream with whoever, because you never know who will come across it, hear the story, and may be able to connect some dots or relate to something. So please go ahead and share this live stream, and let's see if we can reach out and help them find their sister Tamika. So good night, everybody. Good night.
Good night.